This is my piece. It's called Retrospective. It is created all on the computer using Adobe Illustrator, and I really wanted to have any children or younger artists who walk by it just kind of recognize how music has really gone through these stages, so to speak, of like cassettes and vinyl records, even to now like how earbuds have kind of even gone through their own phase where now it's like AirPods, you could say. So I really just wanted younger children who are not so familiar with the stages of music, I guess, to really just identify those through my piece. My piece I really love how it really highlights some popular artists, some really well-known artists, some icons of music, I guess. So I think it's really important to show those people, as well as, like I said, the stages that music has gone through, the progression. I think that's really important to recognize for like kids these days, I guess you could say, because they're not very well known, and I think that's really important. So, art has always really interested me, I guess. I don't know how to say why, but I think graphic design in particular, I've really enjoyed through the years. This is my second year of graphic design, and I love doing typography styles, and as well as these type of pieces on the computer where it's kind of like a simple style, I guess. I'm not much of a drawer, so to speak, but I do love creating art pieces on the computer, and I just think that's really fun to me. It's a really nice like pastime, I guess, that I enjoy. So.
My name is Isabella Anderson, and my project today is Chopin's Ballad No. 1. Well, so I've been doing art for a majority of my life, and it's a really essential part to my entire life in order to create that balance between both doing things like schoolwork and, I participate in speech and debate, and at the same time getting through my creative side. So art has been, my traditional hobby for if I have any free time at all, I'll just go and I'll do art. This particular piece was inspired by the men's figure skater Yuzuru Hanyu, who I deeply, deeply admire. And a lot of the piece is supposed to be accentuating the effort that puts into creating the beautiful, figure skating programs that he does. So the sweat in particular is highlighted as the blue pieces on the piece there to be more beautiful than it would be traditionally as sweat. Well, it's a digital painting, which means that I took my iPad and I took an Apple Pencil and I just created some brushes and through an art app, and I painted. And essentially what it is it's that digital painting, which is a digital file printed through Kinko's onto a black poster board. And so yeah, this was done entirely digitally. I think that this piece in particular, like the goal behind it was, as I said, to create that beauty in the effort that it takes to make something graceful and to make something elegant. So I think that pieces like this and more pieces that focus on the idea of how much effort it takes to make something beautiful will spread a better message in the world.
I like art because you can make whatever you want out of whatever you want, and there are unlimited options. This project is a tree that is modeled off trees on the shore of Lake Superior, how they grow on cliffs, and it tries to imitate that by growing on a rock. It is made out of leftover steel on a rock that I found in our yard. I shaped it with an oxyacetylene torch, heating it up and then bending it each section at a time. I guess it shows how something as small as a seed can get inside of a rock and then break it apart. And so something that small can make a big difference, I guess.
My art is mainly abstract, and it doesn't really generally have a certain meaning or reason for, there's not really a certain effect I'm trying to give off with my markings, but overall I want to make an emotion and bring it to other people using the overall symbols and icons that are in my artwork. This one was inspired by my best friend Mackie. That's why the piece is called Mackie. She's really outgoing and she's really nice and she does what she wants when she wants. I'm kind of the exact opposite, and so I wanted to close off my mind and make a piece that I could you know, skip over all the worries and details of creating the piece and just shut off my mind and make something like Mackie would. So, this one, Reflection, is made to kind of draw the viewer in and make them look into the piece for a really long time, kind of like a Where's Waldo sort of thing. I wanted people to be drawn in and look at it for a very long time. I also wanted it to make people reflect on their own lives, as in there may be an entire picture that looks simple, but when you look at it at close up, it's very detailed and intricate. I think art can make people feel emotions that they may not have before, or make them think about things that they may not normally think about. Art is willing to make certain statements, even if they're maybe conflicting or not very talked about often. Art can bring such views to the spotlight, and other people can reflect on that.
Well, I've been drawing ever since I was in kindergarten, and I've always just had a fascination towards it. Plus, my family is very artistic, so I kind of gained some prior knowledge from them. I just like being able to show my emotions and draw things that I like, just putting them down on paper without even really having to think about it. Well, since I was deciding to put this into DaVinciFest, I really tried my hardest on this one and tried to make something of quality. It's a bit more time-consuming when you're trying your best, but I decided to. I also really wanted to capture that atmosphere of when the sun is almost set, but not quite, and it's rather bright out still. What I like about DaVinciFest is that I like the competition aspect because I don't know why, I think that competition is just really engaging, and it's just like, it really motivates you to try your hardest at the art that you do. Well, I hope to get more, I guess, get to see more people like my art, because when I see that people like my art, it inspires me to keep going.
This piece is the Sioux Line High Bridge, more commonly known as the Arcola High Bridge. It's a very historical element. It's over 100 years old, of the St. Croix Valley, and it kind of shows the history of our area. It's rustic, historic, and has a lot of memories to me personally. Is why I chose to personally take photos of it. Me and my friends like to hike out down below it on the St. Croix River. If I'm out on a boat, you can see it from below. So this piece allowed me to really share that with other people, my personal views about the St. Croix Valley. My art of photography allows me to express my opinions and be able to document different elements of our world that interest me, and especially share them with other people. The DaVinciFest is a great way for students to be able to talk with experts in the field of their study or of their artwork, and especially talk with other people who have the same interests as them. So a lot of my judges gave great feedback today, and I was able to meet a lot of other artists that live right here in Stillwater.
So this quilt is a wall-hanging quilt. My other quilts I created were larger and more bold colors. So my larger quilts were about 60 inches by 50, so it fit on a twin bed, and had a lot of blacks and rainbow colors, just different variety. But this quilt is very different because it is wall hanging, like I mentioned, and it's very minimalistic, and the patterns and the colors are very simple and pastel. And this project is more of me. I love these colors, and it kind of shows my personality a little bit. I like creating quilts or doing textiles because I can create almost anything. Fabrics, there's so many different types of fabrics, and there's so many different things you can make. You can make bags, quilts, clothes, shoes, pillows, purses, anything. So I like the variety of things you can create.
Well, I've been fascinated with steampunk for a long time now, at least since 8th grade, and this is the first costume that I've put together that shows kind of all of my steampunk fashion. And well, steampunk is Victorian era fashion mixed with steam-powered technology, so it's kind of a modern take on the Victorian era and the Industrial Revolution. So I make steampunk jewelry, and I would like to start selling it at like conventions or steampunk meetups. So I figured I'd need an outfit to do that and to connect with the people who are into this style. So I made her kind of a wanderer and a steampunk merchant that would definitely be hanging around this type of venue. Well, I really like the DaVinciFest because it allows me to show off my arts. I get to kind of expand my own view of my art projects, and I get to introduce a style that people may not be familiar with. Like, steampunk is a medium that's not very well known, and I like to tell people and show them what it is and how they can kind of integrate it into their own lives.
is Jory Curnow, and I did Which Rubik's Cube lubricant works best. The reason I chose my topic is because I've been obsessed with Rubik's Cubes for about 4 years, and I am actually in honors science, or lab science, so I had to do this project, so I just decided to do something that I love.
So I did whether fabric softener would affect the flammability of cotton. So I had 2 blankets and I washed one with fabric softener, one without, and then I would cut them up and burn them to see how much burned in a certain amount of time.
I liked how we can, because our teachers give us mints for test, and I like how we know now that your reaction time is faster with a mint, and we know that to take mints when we take a test because we could improve our test score.
We'd probably find that mints will improve your reaction time, and that if you were to take like a test, you might get a higher score, not by a lot, but by a little bit if you were to suck on a mint.
Well, my project is Apples and Acidity. It's about what pH levels the different apples have, and that how the pH scale also affects us, and why we test the water, the soil, the sky, and pH levels. Because the pH levels in the ground we have to have the right amount of pH to have the plants grow right, and then for the water we have to have the pH scale neutral so it's able for us to drink, and then we test the skies to make sure it's not going to acid rain. I would like to figure out a way to make pure water like faster, so the people in Africa get clean water, and I would probably make some donations to charities like Feed My Starving Children. Yeah.
Well, we burnt wood, and we took the volume of wood before we burned it, and then we got the density, and then we stuck it in a bucket and lit it on fire, and then we let it cool for 5 minutes, taking the temperature every 30 seconds, and then we put it back in to test the volume and weigh it, and we got the density.
If like you're trying to get a fire to go long, and you can just use these kinds of woods that burn longer and hotter, then you can use those. It'll be easier than using a different wood.
My science project is how temperature affects magnets. If a company was researching something in one of the poles or the Middle East, they could use this research and they could see that magnets aren't as strong in those places.
So my parents have a vanilla bean extraction company, and so for my project I wanted to see what paddle design will circulate vanilla beans in a nice vertical motion in the liquid. So I started out my project by trying to find a good substitute for vanilla beans by looking at different vegetables and other materials. I ended up deciding on assorted frozen vegetables because I like the different variances in the density of it. And then I used a 3D modeling software called SketchUp to prototype design, and this is my finished product.
For my project, we're measuring if the weight of water in a tube will affect like how much it goes up and down. And we stopped at 90 milliliters because the water would go over the edge.
Can you give us an example of what some of the pictures mean here?
Alright, so that picture is all of the materials I used for the project. This is the project stand with the materials in it, and this is me doing the experiment. This is 20 milliliters of water, and this is 10 milliliters of water. And the air gap right there is, we took a picture of that because we couldn't do it, so we tried to do that, and it didn't work.
On August 14th in 2018, the Morandi Bridge in Genoa, Italy collapsed. So I decided to make a new design because the old design was not very smart engineering. So I initially started with a style of truss bridge that would be on the tops and the sides. So the sides would be supporting the top, and the top would be supporting the sides. But since that didn't really work out because it was a little too complicated, I went with another design that would have different peaks to support the top and the deck of the bridge, or what you drive on. So this bridge was able to hold around 225 pounds, and when I scaled the original Morandi Bridge down, the weight, it was supposed to be able to hold at least 200 pounds. So it turned out a lot better than what the original bridge would have scaled down to if it was this size.
And what is the significance of your findings for the construction of bridges in the future?
It would make it so that a lot more weight would be able to be held, and it also makes it more stable so that less collapses from, let's say, natural disasters would not be able to happen.